Hello, I'm Troy Campbell. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Oregon, and I study marketing and psychology. And I wanted to talk about the psychology around communication of facts and why we deny. And so I wanted to start off with the story of a time that I denied a fact. I was 14 years old, and a doctor diagnosed me with hypoglycemia. And he explained that this was the reason that I was depressed recently and that I was at risk for major health problems as I grew older. And I immediately denied this. In my own microcosm of science denial, I said, that's not true. And my doctor then needed to convince me that I actually had this problem because he needed to convince me so I would take action. And in order to convince me, he had to understand why I was denying. And he actually knew the silly, stupid reason that I was denying it was that at that age, I wasn't worried about being sick when I was older, and I wasn't even that worried about being depressed at that time. I knew that the immediate solution to me admitting this problem was that I would have to give up my beloved Starbucks at 14 years old, which was delicious and was my thing that made me feel like an adult. And I was engaging in something my research colleagues and I call solution aversion. Denying a problem not because of the aspects of the problem itself, but because of the implications and the solutions around it. And so my doctor realized this, and he explained that yes, I would have to give up some of that, but I could actually maintain having caramel frappuccinos and the things that I loved if I had a balanced diet. And so he managed my solution aversion. And Dr. Manuel Fernandez was an amazing scientist. He was the first one who actually was able to diagnose me with hypoglycemia versus many doctors who had tried before to figure out what was wrong with me. But he was also an amazing lay psychologist and really understood the psychology behind his patient. And he had to understand the psychology behind his patient, not just the general science, if I was actually going to change my behavior based upon the science. And this is a generalized principle that we need to understand in modern times, is that we can't just communicate the facts and let the facts speak for themselves. The people have many different motivations and many different reasons that they're going to want to resist facts, and we have to manage and think about them and at least understand them. So we've looked at solution aversion in many different issues, and we've seen how it affects both liberals and conservatives. But one example I wanted to share with is our research on climate change. And so when you look at climate change, you see a political divide over climate change. You see Democrats as being much more likely than Republicans to agree with the climate change science. And we wanted to ask the question, is this potentially due to solution aversion? And we intuitively thought that maybe it is. Because the dominant solution that gets talked about with climate change is one that is friendly to Democrats and unfriendly to Republicans. It's government regulation. And if we could see if potentially solution aversion is the thing that's denying this problem, it might not get us the immediate answer to do exactly something about it, but we'd be able to understand what's actually going on. And so in a number of studies, what we did was we paired climate change and environmental science with different solutions, either pairing it with the solutions that are the most commonly associated solutions to problems, strong government regulation. And when we did that, we saw the same divide that we've always seen. Or we paired it with solutions that were more free market friendly, more pro-green economy type solutions. And what we saw in that situation is a massive attenuation in the divide between more liberal, democratic individuals and more conservative, Republican, free market fan people. And so what we're able to understand here is the reason behind the denial. Now, does it give us an exact solution on how to communicate perfectly? No, that's a complicated thing that's going to vary by different situations and what solutions themselves would actually work. but it gives us an example of how when you communicate the facts, the denial may not be just about the facts. It may not be about a fear of the problem. It may not be that they haven't heard about the problem. It may not be that they have a differential amount of trust in scientists versus other people. It's that the solutions and implications around the problem are threatening to certain people, and that's the reason that's driving their denial. And so in modern times, when problems are so great, we need to know why people deny. And we also need to really think about the fact that we can't just be factual in our statements. We always have to be thinking about the psychology behind how people are going to interpret and deal with those facts.